These are the materials I'll be using for this project. This is a lace fabric and I have 4 yards of lace. I have my lining. This is normal lining. And then this is satin, doll face satin. So this doll face satin is a nude color that we're going to have under the lace like this. Can you see? So this is what we'll have. And then this is the second lining we'll be using to cover it up on the inside. And here I have my haste tape. This I'll be using to create stability on the fabric. And then also I have the breast pad, which is also known as wadding. We'll be using it to pad up the bust area. And then I also have my zipper. Okay, so I'll read out the measurements that we're going to be working with. For this project, you need your shoulder measurement. And for my client, her shoulder measurement is 15 inches. The bust measurement is 37. The under bust is 31. The waist measurement is also 31. The hip measurement is optional in this case because it's going to have gather, so you don't really need the hip measurement. Okay, but the hip measurement I'm working with here is 41 inches. Then you also need the shoulder to nipple point. The shoulder to nipple point I'm working with is 9.5. Shoulder to under bust is 12.5. Shoulder to half length is 16 inches. And then the back half length in this case, this shoulder to half length is the front half length, and that's 16 inches. For the back, it is 15 inches, which is a difference of 1 inch. And then we need the length of the gown. The length of this gown is going to be 43 inches. And those are the measurements, then the sleeve length and the round sleeve, okay? So that's it. So I will start off with drafting the front piece, the upper bodice. So in this video, you'll be learning how to properly tighten the under bust. I usually get questions like, what if my difference is 1.5? What am I going to use to tighten the under bust? I'll be showing us a very easy method that you can use to tighten your under bust properly. And this outfit, when you tighten your under bust properly, you don't even need to wear a bra under it, okay? So that's if you are the type that doesn't want to wear a bra under it. So you don't necessarily need to wear a bra under this. So to get started, I'll be folding my fabric and I'll be drafting directly on the lining. So to determine the amount of fabric I'll be folding, I'll use the biggest measurement of the upper bodice, which is the bust. And the bust measurement is 37 inches. So 37 divided by 4, that will give me 9¼ then plus 4 inches. Okay, that will be 9¼ plus 4 inches. That's going to be 13¼. So I'll fold over 13¼ inch and show us the next thing to do. Okay, so right now I have my fabric on a fold, and this is up to 13.25. So I already drew the starting line, which is the shoulder line. So from the shoulder line, I'm going to mark the chest line. Very easy way to get your chest line. Divide your bust circumference by 6 plus 2.5. That will give you the chest line. And here I'm working with bust 37. So having divided, I have 8.6. So that's about 8.5. So I'll just use 8.5. So this is the chest line here. Then next I'm going to mark the nipple point. And the nipple point is 9.5. Next is the underbust point, and that is 12.5. Then next is the half length. The front half length is 16. So plus half inch for joining the down part. So that's going to be 16.5. So I'll go ahead and rule out all the lines I have here. Okay, so I haven't ruled out the lines. This is the chest line, bust line, under bust, and then waist line. So here on the shoulder line, I'm going to enter the shoulder measurement divided by 2. So shoulder measurement divided by 2 is 7.5. So plus half inch for joining the sleeve, that is 8 inches. So I'll mark this here. And then I'll come down by shoulder slant of 1 inch. And then I'm going to mark the neck width of 3 inches. So I'll come down to the chest line and also mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half. And this is it here at this point. And then I'll connect it to the shoulder slant. Now we have the front armhole. So I'll get the midpoint of this front armhole by folding my tape into 2. So this is the midpoint here. I'll go in by 3/4 inch. And then I'll connect it back to the shoulder tip like this. And then here on the chest line, I'll enter the bust measurement divided by 4, and that's 9¼ I'll bring in my armhole curve and connect to the bust measurement here on the chest line. Okay, so having done that, the next thing I'm going to do is to enter the bust pan. So the bust pan measurement is 7 inches. That's the distance from one nipple to the other. So that's 7 inches. 7 divided by 2, that will give us 3.5. So I'm going to mark 3.5 here plus half inch. This is because we're going to be stitching them together. It's a bustier. So I'm marking it. I marked it on the waistline, the bust line, and then on the bust line as well. So I'll just go ahead and connect the points like this. Okay, so now I'm going to be doing a dart intake. This is where I want us to pay attention, considering that we always are worried about what to tighten the under bust with. Now we have different levels of tightening. Let me get a marker and a paper. Okay, so like I said, that we have different levels of tightening. So you can decide to tighten with 25%. This 25% is half inch all round. And this is most times for dresses, shift dresses, those dresses that are not tight. They are usually free, just free fitted dresses. So we use 25% tightening for them. Now we have 50% tightening. For 50% tightening, you do half inch on both sides in front, and also do half inch at the back. Then at the center back, you do 0.75, okay? That's 50% tightening. Then for 75% tightening, you're going to do 3/4 inch on all the sides, both at the center back, okay? Both at the center back, you're going to do 3/4 inch, that's 0.75 on all the sides. You take your darts, 0.75 here, 0.75 here, you do the same thing at the back, and then at the center back also, to eliminate zipper bulge, you do the same thing. And then again, we have the 100% tightening. So for the 100% tightening, it is 1 inch all round. 1 inch all round. So in front here, you take 1 inch on this side, 1 inch on this side. Then at the back, you do the same thing. And then at the center back, you also take out 1 inch. That is 100% tightening. Most times we use this 100% tightening for bustiers, corsets, and all that. Even 75%, you can also use it for your bustiers and also for your corsets, okay? So, but for the 50 and 25, they are usually for free fitted dresses. I hope we understand that. So in this case, I'll be doing 100% tightening. I'm going to be using 1 inch for my darts. So on this side of the bust pan line, I'm going to mark 1 inch. Take note that I'm marking this on the waistline. So I'm marking 1 inch towards the left, and I'll mark 1 inch towards the right here. So that means the dart intake on the waistline is 2 inches. So having done that, I'm going to mark 1 inch below the bust point and connect my dart. And then I'll connect it this way. You can see the dart will zerize at this 1 inch mark I marked here. So you can see this is just a normal basic bodice, but you can see our dart is 1 inch on both sides. So having done this, the next thing I'm going to do is to enter the horizontal measurement. So on the bust point line here, I'm going to enter the bust measurement divided by 4, and I'll mark it here. Then I will skip the under bust and come down to the waistline. So the waist measurement divided by 4, I'm working with waist 31. So divided by 4, that will give us 7.75. That's 7 3/4, and that's it here. Then I'm going to measure the dart I have here and replace it back. You need to replace that 2 inches back. Can you see? So the waist measurement divided by 4 is 7 3/4. I marked it first, and then I went ahead to measure the dart intake, and I replaced it back here, that 2 inches. So having replaced it back, I'm going to use my straight ruler to connect it to the bust line. Can you see? So this is what I have here at this point. So now I'm going to tighten the under bust. So to be able to tighten the under bust, please pay attention here. I'll place my tape from the center front here and measure the under bust measurement. The under bust measurement divided by 4 is the same 7 3/4, because the under bust is 31 inches. So that's 7 3/4. So I'll mark 7 3/4 here. Can you see where 7 3/4 ends? Then I'm going to measure what I have left here. Can you see from this point to this point? I have 1 3/4. That's 1.75. So I'll be using this 1.75 to tighten the under bust. So since I have 1 3/4, I'll decide to place half inch on this side, and I'll place I'll place the remaining 1 1/4 inch on this side. You can also still decide to place 3/4 inch on this side and place the remaining 1 inch on this side. So whichever one that works better for you. But for me, I'm going to place half inch on this side. That's at the center front. And then here at the side front, I'm going to place the remaining 1 1/4. I beg your pardon. So I'm marking 1.25 here, which is 1 1/4 inch. Can you see? So I'll go ahead now and connect the point to the waistline. So for this ½ inch, it just goes down straight. Can you see that? So for this one now, you can see that trying to bring it this way, trying to connect it is giving me a slanted line. So, and this slanted line just has a way of giving you a flare. So what we're going to do is, I'll take this measurement straight down. Can you see? So I took it straight down. So now I'm going to measure what I have here, because now the waist dart has increased. So I'll measure what I have here. I have about 1/4 inch. I'll come back and replace that 1/4 inch here at the side, because if you don't replace it, it means you have a shortage already. So I've replaced back the 1/4 inch on this side. So the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in my armhole curve and connect from this underbust point to this 1 inch mark I have here. And then I'll do the same thing here on this side. So you can see we have properly tightened the underbust. So as you can see here, I used 1 inch. If you decide to use 75% tightening, that's 0.75 on this side, 0.75 on this side, you're not going to have as much dart as this. Okay, so and it will still fit perfectly well. So this just depends on your preference, how tightened you want it to be. So having said that, the next thing now we're going to do is to tighten the overbust. So I'm going to introduce the overbust line. So to get the overbust line, it is very simple. The distance from the bust point line to the underbust gives you the overbust. Then you can add ½ inch to that measurement if you want it a little bit more covered. So here, from the bust point to the underbust, I have 3 inches. So I'm going to go up by the same, okay, I'll be adding ½ inch. So I'll go up by 3.5 inches. So this is now going to serve as the overbust line. Okay, so having introduced the overbust line, so the next thing I'm going to do is to draw out the shoulder dart so that we can tighten the overbust. Here already I marked a neck width of 3 inches. I'm going to mark a neck depth of 3 inches. Even though we're not going to be using this part because the upper part is going to be an illusion. But this is just so that we can get it right. So you need to do all this. Okay, so having drawn out the neckline, I'm going to measure from the neck width here to the shoulder tip. I have 5 inches and I'll mark the midpoint. So this is now the midpoint. From this midpoint, I'll connect it to the bust point. Can you see? So now I've connected it to the bust point. So I'm going to be tightening the overbust. So on this side of this is the center side, and now this is the side front. So at this side, I'm going to mark ½ inch here. And then on this other side, I'll mark ½ inch. So when you slant and connect your shoulder dart, and you notice that the width you have here is much more than what you have here on the bust point, you can decide to do 3/4 on this side and ½ inch on this side. But for me, you can see it's not too much, so I'm doing ½ inch on both sides. So I'm going to use this part of my ruler that is not too curvy to connect it to the bust point. Okay, so you can see now we have tightened our overbust properly. So now the next thing we're going to do is to enter all our measurements and replace our darts. Okay, so I'll be starting with the overbust point here, because by the time we cut out this measurement, we're going to have a shortage here. So I'm going to measure what I have here. The dart intake is 1 inch. I'm going to replace it here at the side. Can you see? I'm replacing it here at the side of the armhole. So I'll come out by 1 inch. So I haven't come out by 1 inch. Then next I'll come to the bust point line here and enter the bust measurement, which is already here. I've done that. Then next I'll enter my sewing allowance of 2 inches. Then here on the underbust line, I'm going to enter my sewing allowance of 2 inches. You can see I've done all my dart replacements. All I need to do is to just enter my sewing allowance of 2 inches. So I'll mark 2 inches here. I'll do the same thing here. So now there's something I usually do. because I'll be joining the center piece and the side piece. By the time we join them together, half inch will go away here, half inch will go away here. So meaning that my sewing allowance is just going to be 1 inch remaining. So I usually like my sewing allowance to be 2 inches so that even if we need ease and all that, it won't be a problem. So I'm going to be adding that 1 inch I'll be using to join the two sides together. So this now means that I'm adding a sewing allowance of 3 inches. Okay, so if you are comfortable with just having 1 inch when you are done, please feel free to use it. But for me, I like to have 2 inches so that if we need to add ease, it won't be a problem. So I'll add my 1 inch. Okay, so I omitted something. This point, remember that the that intake that increased here, I replaced it back here on the waistline, which is this 1/4 of an inch here. So I'm going to be measuring 2 inches from this point, not from my initial line. Please just take note of that. So I'm marking my 2 inches from the 1/4 inch, and then I'll add that extra 1 inch I was talking about. So now this is it for our side. So I'll go ahead and connect the points. Then I'm going to curve the armhole now. So now this is now going to be our new armhole. You can see it comes out this way. Okay, so here we are. So we don't need this upper part because, like I said, we're going to have an illusion. I'm going to be placing the lace on top of it. So this is basically what we are working with. So the next thing I'm going to do before we go ahead and cut it out, I'll be taking out the side dart, which is also known as the bust dart. And remember I said that the front length of my client is 16 inches while her back length is 15. So that's a difference of 1 inch. So I'll come here to the side and mark that 1 inch. Take note that I'm marking it here on the waistline. And then I'm going to connect it to the first dart leg here. Okay, so that's it. So we'll be cutting out this dart. So if you were to be drafting on your pattern paper, you just close it at the bust dart, but this is just basically the same thing. So we'll go ahead and cut it out. So this is our side piece. So can you see what our pieces looks like? So our dart has been taken care of. So I'm going to place this on the satin and cut out the satin. And then for the back is just a normal basic bodice. So I'll cut that out and I'll show us the next thing to do. Okay, so for the back, it's just our normal basic bodice. But I thought to show us, so that I'll be showing us how to do our 100% tightening that we're going to be doing at the center back. So first I have the shoulder line here, and you can also see that I have my zip allowance. So this automatically becomes the center back. All measurements started from here. This is our zip allowance, and the zip allowance is 1.5 inches. So here is the chest line, and this is the back armhole. At the back armhole, as usual, I just went in by 1/2 of an inch and connected it to the bust measurement here on the chest line. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to do the dart intake, and the nipple to nipple I'm working with is 7 inches. So when you divide by 2, that's 3.5. So I'm going to mark 3.5 here, placing my tape from the center back. I'll mark it here, and I'll also mark it on the chest line. So I'll go ahead and connect the points like this. So remember, I'm doing a dart intake of 1 inch. So I'm going to mark 1 inch towards the left and mark 1 inch towards the right also. So from the chest line here, I'll come down by 1/2 inch. And then I'll connect the dart to this point. So I'll zerize at that point. Okay, so this is our darts for the back. So the next thing I'm going to do is to enter the waist measurement divided by 4. And that's 7 3/4. Then I'll replace our dart of 2 inches, and this is it here. So I'll go ahead and connect it to the chest line. So you see, this is what it looks like. So by the time we stitch our dart, it will just go back. So now for the tightening, this is what I'm going to do. Here at the center back, I'll be taking away 1 inch. Remember I said 100% tightening is taking away 1 inch all round. I'll be taking away 1 inch from this 1.5 I have. And then I'm going to slant it all the way to the shoulder line. You see? So this is it. So we'll be cutting out this part. So after cutting out this part and we don't replace it, it means that I do not have a zip allowance. So I'm basically going to transfer this 1 inch from this side back to this other side. So I've returned my zip allowance back to this side. So this is now going to remove excess fabric from here that usually makes our gown bulge at the back. So having taken out this 1 inch, the back will sit very flat and nice. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to add my sewing allowance of 2 inches. For the back is going to be 2 inches because I'm not joining pieces together. So I'll just add 2 inches, and this is it here. And then here on the chest line, I'll also add 2 inches. So I'll connect it to this side. So can you see that the back is looking, that this side is looking wider, as if the person has a big tummy, but that's not it. So by the time we stitch this dart, it just returns it back to normal. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark the back neck depth, and I'll be using a neck depth of 2 inches for the back. The neck width is already 3 inches, so I'll use my curved ruler to connect it like this. So this is what we have here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut out the back piece. Okay, so the next thing I'm doing right now is to cut the lace that we're going to be placing in front, and that's just going to be a basic bodice. This is not going to be a bustier, it's just going to lay on top of the bustier nicely. So here I have the shoulder line already, and this is the chest line. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw out the armhole. First I'll mark the shoulder slant of 1 inch, and then I'll connect it to the neck width of 3 inches, just the normal way we draft our basic bodice. So I'll connect it this way. I'll get the midpoint of the armhole, and this is it here. And then I'll go in by 3/4 of an inch. This is for the front, so I'm going in by 3/4 of an inch. And then on the chest line here, I'm going to enter the bust measurement divided by 4, and this is it here. So I'll connect the armhole to meet that point. So you can see it's that simple. Next, I'm going to add my sewing allowance. I'll be adding a sewing allowance of 2 inches. 2 inches. So I'll add that 2 inches just like I added on the bustier. Then here on the waistline, I'll enter the waist measurement divided by 4. Then plus 2 inches. I'm not adding that to this lace. There's no dart on this lace, okay? So I'll connect it this way. Okay, so for the bust dart, I'll be taking it out when we are placing it on the bustier. So for now, I'm working with the actual length of 16 inches plus half, that's 16.5 inches. So I'm going to mark a neck depth of 4 inches here. So I'm using a neck width of 3 and then a neck depth of 4. So this is it here. So I'll just go ahead and connect the points. So now our lace that we're going to be placing in front is very ready. So I'll cut it out. Okay, so this is what our front piece will look like, and before we start cutting out the patches to place on it. The length of the gown we're making is 43 inches. We already have the upper bodice, which is 16 inches for the front. So I'm going to subtract 16 from 43, and that will give us 27 inches. So meaning that the down part is going to be 27 inches. I'll add extra half inch to that measurement for joining it to the waistline, so that's 27.5. Okay, there's no need adding any hemming allowance. We are working with lace, so we're going to use the scallop part of the lace, so we're not turning it. So I'll be cutting exactly that 27.5 in length, and then still on my satin I'm going to cut the same 27.5. So by the time we hem the satin with 2 inches, the satin will be shorter than the lace, so that the scallop part of the lace will be the one ending the down part of the gown. And then also for the width of the fabric, I'll be using this waist measurement. The waist measurement times 3, I'll be multiplying it by 3. That's how wide it will be because we're going to gather it. So our waist measurement is 31 inches. So 31 times 3, that will give us 93. Okay, so the width of the fabric is going to be 93 plus zip allowance of 1 inch on both sides, so that's going to be 95 inches. So I will cut out 95 inches in width and in length 27.5. So I'll cut it out and show us the next thing to do. I'm done cutting out the lace, that's the down part. Here's our lace fabric, and then this is the second lining, and this one is the doll face satin that will be directly under the lace. For the hem here, I'm going to just fold half inch, and then I'll fold 1 inch to hem the down part, so that the scallop part of the lace is longer than the satin. So we are done with the cutting part of this video. If you have watched this video up until this point and you are yet to subscribe, please click on the subscribe button to subscribe. Ensure to put on your notification bell so you get a notification when I upload the sewing video. So our next video is going to be on the sewing part. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.